So we're looking at this historical source, and as we can see on the right, it gives us a bit of information about this source. So this is called Long Tan Action Vietnam. It was produced in 18th of August 1966. It was produced by a man called Bruce Fletcher in 1970, so a few years afterwards. So Fletcher's painting is a reconstruction of several different events that occurred during the Battle of Long Tan between D Company and the Vietnamese. So Bruce Fletcher is a war artist, a military artist. So the military sends out artists with different companies in order to capture what is happening. And I want you to think about why one of the questions we're going to ask you in a minute is why would the military do this? Why would they hire artists to travel around with different Australian regiments and corps in order to garner this information? So let's have a look here at the painting. So at the top in the middle here, you see that part hanging down. That is what we call a slung load. So it's indicating, sorry about my dog, it's indicating that there is ammunition hanging from a helicopter. Now, this was not actually factual. Instead, the ammunition was airdropped by the helicopters. You can also see, sorry, coming from the right, it looks like there's this strong light, which is kind of insinuating that they're the armed carrier troops, which is very interesting because in reality, these armed carrier troops didn't have their lights on. So I want you to have a think about why would the artist portray them with their lights on. In this foreground here, we can see most of the men are laying down. We can see that the rain is very heavy, except this one man a bit further in the top left who is standing up with his rifle. Now, it's really important to remember, and Bruce himself has commented, that in this picture, we don't just see a snapshot of an event, we see several events compressed into one image. And I want you to think about how that is both valuable and also limited. So, when you're thinking about the values and limitations of this painting, I want you to be thinking things like the origin. And when we're talking about the origin, we're talking about a military artist sent to capture this battle. I want you to talk about how accurate the content is and why the artist might have changed it, and does that add to it or not. I also want you to be particularly thinking about how this can be useful to us. How is an artwork potentially more useful than something like a photo or a diary entry in conveying a sense of this battle? So, in the next slide, you'll find a couple of questions. The questions on the slide I want you to answer in your books, and then there'll be an overall question.